Alright guys and gals, after some initial delays, we finally have our hands on the Corsair naval vessel that is slated to come to the game real soon. There's been a ton of speculation out there surrounding how this thing is going to operate and what role it's going to fill on the battlefield. But now we're finally able to dig in and find some of those answers for ourselves. And that's what we're going to be doing today. G'day there once again viewers, your mate Kamikaze78 here, and today we're going to be testing the new Corsair assault craft and seeing what it brings to the table in Planetside 2. Okay, so right off the bat, let's establish the scope of this test and manage some expectations here. First things first, gang, everything you're going to be seeing here is a work in progress and is subject to change. It has been confirmed that the audio and movement feel of the Corsair is still a work in progress and is planned to change between now and the live server deployment. So I want everyone to be across that before we get into things here. In addition to that, the testing that I have done so far has completely excluded any form of combat testing and has only really been focused so far on the handling, performance, and the utility of this vehicle. We can extrapolate some combat abilities based on comparisons to other vehicles in the game and the stats that this thing is rocking, but we'll get a better idea of how this watercraft handles in battle with the upcoming playtests over this weekend. The times for those, by the way, are displayed on your screen currently for your visibility, so you can make it to those playtests should you wish to do so. But okay, let's get into the basics. As we already knew, the Corsair assault craft is a vehicle with 8 seats comprised of 1 driver, 2 top-mounted gunners, and 5 passengers that can take advantage of the new catapult system for the vehicle. We'll return to that with a bit more detail soon. The gunner positions can equip the following weapons: the M20 Basilisk, the M60G Bulldog, the Dingo ML6, which for visibility is only available at this stage on the Colossus tank, and it sort of acts as an anti-air missile launcher whose rockets have a proximity lock-on effect to enemy aircraft that fly nearby, as well as the Empire-specific Basilisk weapons, which we covered in a previous video, which is linked in a card above. So nothing new and nothing groundbreaking in the weapon department here, and nothing we didn't already know. But I have to admit, the Bulldog feels like it might be a tad useless on this platform, given, you know, its speed and where it physically operates on the battlefield. It may just become a glorified depth charge for infantry, depending on how this weapon works with water mechanics, but we'll soon see. Onto the stuff we're just learning about though. The vehicle is going to cost 250 nanites to pull, putting it on par with that of the Valkyrie, and sports a health pool of 4000 HP. The gunner positions, as I predicted, are not rumble seats and serve no offensive capabilities while the passengers are on board. Some have begun to call this the Sunderer for the water, or the Valkyrie for the water even, and I would say that these are some pretty fair comparisons to make in the grand scheme of things. It's worth noting here as well that this vehicle can equip a proximity repair and resupply slot as well, which means that, yep, I'm fully expecting to see fleets of these things duking it out with different compositions of area of effect repair and ammo abilities. Could make for some interesting gameplay. It sounds like it's just going to be big old Sunderer domes, but on the water with the ability to launch passengers at your enemy via the catapult system. Anyway, let's quickly dive, see what I did there, a little deeper into this vehicle's mobility capabilities, because I feel like it's going to be pretty key to whether or not this thing gets used a bunch. Generally speaking, the vehicle handles like a boat to a certain extent. It sort of bops in the water and reacts to waves, and it also doesn't turn on a dime like how you would expect your ground vehicles to do so. When you have momentum behind you, the vehicle will take a bit of time before it reaches its tightest possible turning angle. It can, however, rotate on the spot without any forward propulsion, albeit very slowly. I have to say that out of the gate, the way in which the Corsair bops in the water and reacts to the waves of the ocean is a little robotic in my opinion. As someone who has been on a boat that feels like it would be somewhat similar to the size of the one that's in game, it feels a touch artificial with how it reacts with the water. Part of me feels like the point in the patch notes about the Corsair's movement mechanics being a work in progress may directly relate to this point a smidge, but we'll see. This entire field from a physics perspective is new ground for the developers, and I'm being a bit picky about an aesthetic thing above all else. It's just something I picked up on. But let's talk about the exact handling stats, if you will. Completely stock, the Corsair will approximately hit 83 km per hour in a straight line flat stick, which puts it smack bang in the middle between the Sunderer's 70 km per hour straight line speed and the Harasser's 96 km per hour straight line speed. Noting the Corsair's health pool of 4000 HP, sitting almost halfway between that of the Sunder and the Harasser in this field as well, this is about what I would expect when it comes to speed versus tankiness against the rest of the game and its vehicles. Going flat stick as well, the Corsair seems to have an average turning circle radius of approximately 65 meters, or 8.7 seconds to complete a full circle while going flat stick. Once again, reiterating the fact that this vehicle's turning circle takes some time to get into the full swing, which is consistent with how watercraft handle in the real world. Now, performance-wise, there are 2 additional performance frames that you can choose from that actively impact the way the vehicle handles, that being the Agility Chassis and the Speed Chassis. The Agility Chassis, as the name suggests, gives the Corsair tighter handling and more responsive controls when it comes to turning, at the cost of some straight line speed. And conversely, the Speed Chassis, surprise surprise, boosts the top speed available to the Corsair up a little bit. But with that extra speed, thanks to how vehicles work in water, that tends to widen your respective turning circle and makes tight turns harder to perform. So to test these respective chassis and how drastically they change the craft and how it handles, I did a timed speed test to see how long it would take each frame to travel approximately 380 meters in a straight line, and I also tested out the turning circles between each chassis, and this is what I got. The stock chassis completed the straight line speed test in around 14.8 seconds. The speed chassis, comparatively speaking, topped out at 90 km per hour and reached the distance in 13.6 seconds, and the agility chassis hit a top speed of 78 km per hour and made the distance in 15.5 seconds. Shifting to the turning circle side of things, as we know, we have a 65 meter turning circle which takes 8.7 seconds to complete at default. When you look at mounting the agility chassis, that moves down to a 49 meter turning circle with a 7.1 second turn time. And conversely, with the speed chassis, that becomes a 90 meter turning circle with a 10.4 second turn time. So there's nothing too groundbreaking here when it comes to these chassis. There's also a Recon Chassis available to this boat as well, which gives you automatic spotting of enemy vehicles within, I believe, a 120 meter radius around the vehicle. Have yet to really try that out too much, but it's interesting to see. I do have to say here that the Corsair across the board feels like it needs a bit of tuning here to make it a bit more maneuverable, if you will. Its health pool is sizable by comparison to that of some other vehicles, but it's also a relatively big vehicle too, which is going to make it quite the target for aircraft. I'm curious to see how effective the Dingo ML6 is going to be in addressing that air threat, but there's no denying that it's going to attract a lot of attention. I mean, it has thrusters, which to me suggests and just screams afterburner abilities in the water, and given the fact that it operates in water where cover is not exactly plentiful, I don't exactly see that being such a detrimental addition to the Corsair, but we'll see what happens. Given its supportive nature as well as far as its upgrade trees, armament and utility is concerned, it might be better fit for purpose as a more slow vehicle anyway. We'll soon see after the playtests. But speaking of utility, we can't do a video about the Corsair, at least in the early stages, without talking about the catapult system for the passengers. And yeah, I've deliberately saved this till last. It works very much like an NS Scorpion launcher. You aim in the direction you want to be launched in, click and hold the fire button, and release when you've charged up the right amount of, well, yeet power, and then, well, try not to hit a seagull in the process. And I gotta be honest, this has been a bit of fun to play around with. In my testing, the catapult system has a minimum charging distance of around 15 meters, but can send you a full-blown 390 to 400 meters distance at a maximum charge, and that is ridiculous. You can also aim slightly higher to get more verticality to your catapult launch as well, which might be useful for breaching tridents as an example, but I've yet to try that out and see how practical it is. This distance is way further than I thought it would be when first reading about the Corsair. And because of this, I feel the Corsair is going to become a very integral part of the OSHA experience as far as quick redeploys and, well, launching yourself onto bases are concerned, especially with the new underwater combat that is coming in this update. I'll have more info on that for you guys, by the way, tomorrow. But you can go even further with it. With the right attitude, if you launch yourself as a light assault out of this system, you guessed it, you can get even crazier distances. I was able to clock in a 600 meter travel distance from the catapult while using the Icarus jump jets. So if there's anything you should be taking out of this video, it is that OSHA is about to become the new hotspot for light assaults just fucking sending themselves at Mach 5, trying to get into a measuring contest about who can go the furthest. And you know what? I've got a feeling that competitive Planetside, well, it's no longer about shooting people. It's about how long you you can yeet yourself in the Corsair X Light Assault long jump. On a more serious note, given the fact that this vehicle has the ability to also act as a squad spawning point as well, yeah, I'm curious to see how the catapult system is going to be utilized. But guys, with all of that said, that's going to sort of wrap up today's testing on the Corsair Assault Craft. Once again guys, this is a work in progress, sort of a moment in time assessment of this watercraft and how it performs at the time of the video. Things may change before now in the live server, and I'll probably end up releasing some content surrounding this vehicle once it does come to the live server. So just keep that in mind going forward. If you guys enjoyed today's video, be sure to backhand the like button. It goes a long way in supporting the channel. And if you're someone who's brand new here and you still found yourself enjoying the content, well then consider backhanding that subscribe button whilst you're at it guys, as it keeps you up to date as to whenever we release a new video or when we go live right here on the YouTube channel. Want to support the channel further? Consider hitting the join button down below and becoming a channel member. It also helps a long way guys. Once again, I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Peace out, and I will see you guys all in the next one. Take care, guys. Have a good one.